The Reverend Barry Lynn is not a conservative Christian. He's a Christian, also executive director of Americans United for Separation of Church and State, and the author of Piety and Politics, the Right-Wing Assault on Religious Freedom. Reverend Lynn, thank you for your time tonight, sir.
Nice to be here.
If it's one thing if people outside their circle say to those of the religious right, you're being played, they want only your vote. Presumably, it's quite another thing if someone perceived to be inside that circle, like David Quo says it. But is that presumption correct, or can even this book be rationalized?
I don't think that most of the people who would consider themselves religious right members or conservative evangelicals have any idea that within Karl Rove's office they are being referred to as nuts or ridiculous or any of the other language. You know, a lot of religious right leaders say to me that I'm either the biggest thorn in their side or the biggest enemy in their midst, and sometimes things even more impolite. But all I do is argue with them on the merits of issues. But to have the top leaders of the White House refer to them with this kind of language becomes a Judas moment, a moment where they feel betrayed, and they're going to feel betrayed as this story gets out more and more.
Apart from being an issue of faith and of breaking faith, this is such a vital issue politically. What happens if even a small percentage of the religious right reads Quo's book or hears about it and says, I don't want to vote for these guys anymore? Do they feel like they have an option to vote for a Democrat or not vote at all? Or is the pollution, I don't want to say corruption, but pollution of their religion so pervasive in this case that they'll vote anyway for the proverbial devil they know?
I don't know that any of us know the answer to that. James Dobson recently, just about 2 weeks ago at a big event here in Washington, said that it was unthinkable to work for or to vote for the other party. But again, that's before this book came out and its revelations came out. And I think there will be a lot of people who have done what they did in past elections, including when Senator Dole was running for the presidency, and just vote for third parties or not vote at all. That's certainly the thing the White House needs to be concerned about as this book gets bigger and longer legs.
Yesterday, we reported Mr. Quo's claim that his office had helped Republican candidates in 2002 by holding these thinly disguised get-out-the-vote events in targeted districts. Did you know about that?
Yes, in 2002 we actually issued a report and floated it around, got some media attention for it. We found that these meetings seemed to be occurring in the very legislative districts, congressional districts, and states with very tight governor's races, where it made all the difference in the world to be able to go in, lure churches, even some African-American churches, into believing they might get some of this faith-based money, and then hope that they would be welcoming it by returning a vote for the Republican Party. It worked in some states. It did not work in all states. But I remember having arguments with Jim Toohey on television, in private, and at college and university debates, and I would tell him that that's exactly what his office was doing, and he would deny it categorically. I know Jim Toohey, David Quo's longtime boss, for a long time. He's had dinner at my house. But when he started to work for the Faith-Based Initiative office, he made a deal with the devil. He thought that he could somehow do the political stuff, the partisan stuff, and still help the poor. It turned out all that he was doing was being a cog in this political machine, and frankly, the Faith-Based Initiative has caused fights among religious groups and between religious groups and secular groups for the crumbs from the king's table when it comes to social serving spending, and that's, by any standard, an obscenity in the wealthiest nation ever to have existed on this planet.
Are we, who view this from a political point of view or a administration point of view or government point of view, missing the key crux here? Because it seems to me in reading what Quo has written that his major concern, that those who went into this in good faith were hoping in some way to help the poor, and that the main betrayal here is of that principle. Why has it been so easy to win conservative Christian votes with issues that Jesus Christ was never supposed to have mentioned, like gay marriage, while turning a blind eye to his big issue, if you will, helping the poor?
No, it was Jesus' big issue. Jesus never talked about same-sex marriage or gay and lesbian rights. In fact, the whole Bible, there's not a word that condemns abortion. What the religious right has convinced people all over this country and their churches to believe is something that is an encrusting of their political ideas. The religious right's own political and partisan ideas on the words of Jesus. So their distortion of the gospel makes it possible for them to say the only thing that matters is abortion and gay marriage. We'll get to the poor some other time, but they never do, and neither does this president.
Reverend Barry Lynn, great thanks for your time, Barry.
Thank you.
A quick